Welcome back to the BookCast. Today we are unpacking every layer of the incredible novel, Middlemarch, a study of provincial life.
That's right. We're getting into it.
Get ready for a deep dive into its characters, themes, and maybe some of the hidden meanings behind the story.
Definitely. There's so much there.
We're going to delve into the very beginnings of this classic, exploring the aspirations, the early engagements, and, well, the surprising turns of fate that start to shape these deeply human lives.
It's fascinating how George Eliot immediately sets the stage. Right from the prelude, she introduces this idea of later-born Teresas.
Right, like Saint Teresa of Avila, women with this intense sort of ideal nature.
Exactly. Yearning for what the novel calls an epic life. Big ambitions, big spirits.
So these are women with grand spiritual or intellectual goals, yeah. But the prelude hints at a problem.
A big problem. For these later-born women, there's often this meanness of opportunity. Society doesn't always give them the space they need.
And a lack of coherent social faith, it says. So the world around them doesn't necessarily support or even understand their drive. It's a core dilemma, isn't it, for someone with that kind of spirit?
Absolutely. It sets up the potential for tragedy or at least misunderstanding. Their struggles might just look like inconsistency and formlessness to others.
And that leads us straight to Miss Dorothea Brooke. She's the embodiment of this, right?
Perfectly. Our main character.
And what a character. She's beautiful, but she consciously dresses plainly. It's not about money. It's religious conviction.
Deep conviction.
Yeah.
Her mind is described as theoretic, always searching for some, lofty conception of the world.
Yeah. Enamored of intensity and greatness, it says. Almost rash in grabbing onto anything that seems to have those qualities. She's definitely not your typical young lady of the time.
Not at all. Her piety is intense, kneeling on brick floors to pray, fasting, reading heavy theological books late at night. It's a really rich inner life she's got.
And she's an heiress, too, right? Good income, potential inheritance from her uncle, Mr. Brooke, who raised her.
Yeah, orphaned young, raised by this bachelor uncle.
And then there's Celia, her younger sister.
Ah, Celia. The perfect foil.
Yeah.
Milder, much more practical.
She sort of goes along with Dorothea's religious intensity, but you can tell she finds it trying. Especially the inconsistencies, like the plain dress versus the nice jewels.
Oh, that jewels incident is so telling, isn't it? Celia wants to divide their mother's things.
Dorothea's initially like, whatever, take them, but then...
But then she stops. Keeps a pearl cross, some amethyst. Suddenly sees them as fragments of heaven.
It's that contradiction again, isn't it? The spiritual ideal versus maybe just human appreciation for beauty or something innate clashing with her theories.
Exactly. That internal tension. And it really comes into play with her suitors.
First up, Sir James Chettam. Seems like a catch. Baronet, handsome, nice guy.
Very practical, too. Focused on his farms, improvements, sensible.
And he seems to think Dorothea's excessive religiousness is just a phase, that it'll die out with marriage.
Kind of a convenient thought for him, perhaps.
Yeah.
Makes her fit his worldview a bit better.
And then Mr. Casaubon walks in. Reverend Edward Casaubon.
The scholar. The clergyman. Quite the imposing figure, intellectually at least. Described with deep eye sockets, like Locke apparently. Pale, spare.
Right, very intense looking. And he's writing this massive book, The Key to All Mythologies.
A huge undertaking. Trying to prove all myths trace back to one original divine tradition. Hugely ambitious.
And this is what grabs Dorothea, isn't it? His learning. She's completely drawn in.
Utterly captivated. She sees him as a potential guide. Someone who could teach her Hebrew, even.
She thinks he has a great soul connected to his work on biblical cosmology. It's like an intellectual and spiritual hero worship combined.
And the contrast with Celia's view is stark.
Oh, yeah. Celia just finds him ugly and sallow. She's Team Sir James all the way.
But Dorothea, she flat out rejects Sir James. Not enough intellectual depth for her.
She wants marriage to be about higher duties, a spiritual communion. Something to lift her out of her own perceived ignorance. Her expectations are sky high.
Which makes his proposal almost ironic.
Yeah, that letter. So formal. Casaubon talks about needing her eminent fitness to help with his graver labors.
And be a solace for his declining years. Offers his unwasted affection. It's precise. Not exactly overflowing with passion.
But Dorothea's reaction, pure joy. Passionate acceptance.
Absolutely. She sees it as the highest happiness, being one with his purpose. It's clear her own dissatisfaction is fueling this enthusiasm.
And she rewrites the acceptance letter 3 times for neatness. To save Mr. Casaubon's eyes, That says so much about her eagerness to serve.
Her idealism is just pouring out looking for a channel.
Uncle Brooke is surprised, but okay with it. He figures Casaubon might become a bishop.
Good prospects, a good match in his practical view.
Celia, though, she's sad about it.
Yeah, her comment is just perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Telling Mrs. Cadwallader, I don't think it can be nice to marry a man with a great soul. Just cuts right through the idealism.
Speaking of cutting through things, Mrs. Cadwallader arrives, the voice of Middlemarch society.
And what a voice. Sharp-tongued, high-born, totally unfiltered.
She does not approve of this match, calls Casaubon a mummy.
A bladder for dried peas. She's convinced Dorothea will hate him within a year.
And she immediately starts matchmaking Sir James with Celia instead. Practical to the last. Her dismissal of Dorothea's methodistical whims is brutal, but kind of funny.
It really grounds the story in that provincial reality, showing how Dorothea's choice looks from the outside. Scandalous, almost.
While all this is going on with Dorothea, the world of Middlemarch keeps spinning. We meet more people.
Right, the Vincy family. Fred Vincy, the brother. Charming, but a bit idle, always in debt trouble.
And his sister Rosamond.
Ah, Rosamond, the flower of Mrs. Lemon's school. Beautiful, accomplished, plays music exquisitely.
But her ambitions are totally different from Dorothea's, aren't they? She wants to marry up socially, outside Middlemarch, maybe someone titled.
Entirely social aspirations. It's a great contrast.
Fred's money problems seem tied to his uncle Featherstone, the miserly old guy.
Yeah, Fred's counting on that inheritance. And Featherstone's sister, Mrs. Wall, is spreading gossip about Fred borrowing against it. Typical small-town stuff.
And then there's Mary Garth, a real contrast to Rosamond.
Absolutely. Featherstone's companion. Plain, but honest, sharp. Got her head screwed on right.
She cares for the old man, but she won't marry Fred unless he sorts himself out. She demands responsibility. Very refreshing.
She really is a dose of reality.
We also meet Mr. Bulstrode, the banker.
Wealthy, very outwardly religious, big on spiritual interests, uses his money for influence, especially with the new hospital plans. A major player. And into this mix comes Dr. Tertius Lydgate.
The new doctor, young, ambitious, wants to shake things up.
27. Full of ideas about medical reform, scientific discovery. He's into Bichat's work on tissues, really cutting-edge stuff for the time, aiming for a genuine practice, not just guesswork.
He's bringing modern science to Middlemarch, but he's got a past, doesn't he?
Oh, yes. A rather dramatic one. An impetuous folly, the book calls it.
With a French actress, Laure.
That's the one. He was infatuated, but then she confessed she'd stabbed her husband on stage. Intentionally.
Wow. Okay, that would leave a mark.
You could say that. It led him to decide he'd take a strictly scientific view of woman from then on. Protect himself, you know?
A sort of intellectual defense mechanism.
Exactly. And you see it in how he first views Dorothea and Rosamond.
He finds Dorothea a little too earnest, troublesome, because she wants reasons but relies on her moral sense.
Yeah, she doesn't fit his neat scientific categories, perhaps. But Rosamond.
He's immediately struck by her beauty, her music, even though he tells himself he's not looking for marriage.
Classic case. The intellectual resolve versus immediate attraction. His scientific view might be in trouble already.
And this leads into a major conflict pretty quickly, right? The hospital chaplaincy appointment.
Yes, a real local controversy. Bulstrode is pushing hard for his candidate, Mr. Tyke.
Tyke is zealous, big on gospel preaching, but maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed.
That seems to be the implication. Whereas others, like Mr. Vincy, support Mr. Fairbrother.
The vicar of St. Butol's. Sounds like a much more interesting guy. Brilliant, amiable, candid.
A naturalist, too. And he enjoys cards, plays for money, which is a bit scandalous for a vicar. But he's open about it. Hopes the chaplain's salary would let him stop.
He seems very human. And he and Lydgate connect intellectually.
They do, which puts Lydgate in a bind.
Because Bulstrode controls the hospital purse strings, basically, and he expects Lydgate's vote for Tyke.
Exactly. So Lydgate's faced with this dilemma. Vote for Fairbrother, the man he respects and connects with, or vote for Tyke to keep Bulstrode happy and secure the resources he needs for his own medical work.
Principle versus pragmatism. Securing the medium for his work, as the book says.
It's a tough spot. Shows how even noble goals can get tangled in local politics and compromises. Makes you think, doesn't it? How often do those kinds of choices crop up?
All the time. So the vote happens, and Lydgate...
He struggles with it. But in the end, he casts the deciding vote for Tyke.
He admits to himself it was obviously convenient, and it bothers him later, a sore point.
Yeah, it's the first real chip in his idealistic armor. Shows how that petty medium, the everyday grind and compromise, can start to wear down your best purposes. It's a really telling moment for his character.
Absolutely. And speaking of ideals taking a hit, let's follow Dorothea to Rome, the honeymoon.
Oh, the honeymoon. Meant to be the start of this grand intellectual partnership, this spiritual communion.
But it turns out, not so much. It's a rude awakening, really.
Tragic, even. She arrives full of these illusions, seeing Rome through that hopeful lens.
But Casaubon just deflates it all. His reactions are so dry, measured official tone.
Responding to incredible art with things like, they are, I believe, highly esteemed. Just zero emotional connection. It's devastating for her.
You can feel her disillusionment growing. Rome itself, this stupendous fragmentariness, just seems to mirror the strangeness and emptiness of her marriage.
She feels completely alone. Humiliated even that her feelings, her aspirations, are just melting ice. Finds herself weeping alone in their rooms. It's heartbreaking.
And she tries, doesn't she? Tries to connect. Asks him about his book, offers to help, write for him.
A desperate plea for connection, really. But Casaubon just gets irritated by her excessive feeling.
He sees her as an ignorant onlooker, part of the shallow world criticizing him. That's harsh.
Incredibly harsh. He gets angry, gives this cold speech. They're both shocked. It's this moment of utter miscommunication, incompatible needs laid bare.
And right into this mess walks Will Ladislaw again.
Yep, Casaubon's young cousin, now in Rome studying art with his friend Naaman.
His first impression of Dorothea, because she married Casaubon, wasn't great, was it?
No, he was a bit judgmental. But seeing her there, in the Vatican, something shifts. He starts to admire her. Naaman, the artist, even wants to sketch her, thinks Casaubon is her father at first.
Which says a lot about the age gap, or at least the perceived dynamic. Will is pretty blunt, though.
Oh, totally. He hates Naaman's gross view of Dorothea, calls Casaubon a cursed, white-blooded, pedantic coxcomb in his head.
And then he just casually tells Dorothea that Casaubon's work is probably outdated because he doesn't read German. Ouch.
Right. Startles her completely. It's brutally honest, maybe a bit tactless, but it's also fresh air compared to Casaubon's stiffness.
He seems genuinely concerned for her, too. Calls her situation monstrous.
He really does. Worries she'll be buried alive back at Loic, shut up in Casaubon's stone prison. He gets quite savage thinking about it, protective.
And Dorothea, feeling so isolated, she finds his young equality, his openness, really refreshing.
She says she has an immense need of someone to speak to. You really feel that aching loneliness.
So when they part, she makes him promise not to criticize Casaubon's work again, kind of takes the blame herself, and he agrees.
It's a significant moment. A real connection formed amidst her disillusionment. Hints at, well, possibilities, other kinds of understanding.
Yeah, it really leaves you wondering about what matters more, these grand intellectual projects or just basic human connection, and how easily our ideals can get warped by reality. Her journey is just getting started, really.
Absolutely. The gap between the dream and the reality is widening, and there's so much more to unfold.
And there you have it. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us and this story.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
If you enjoyed it, a simple like or subscribe helps the channel out more than you know. Be good and take care.